Tonya, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. And thanks so much for taking the time to be with us today. We're really excited to have you on. My name is Ileana Lopez, and I am the Director of External Affairs here at Crystal Stairs. And I'm going to let Tonya introduce herself.
I am Tonya Muhammad. I am a child care provider. I've been in business for 30 years. I've been with Crystal Stairs the whole 30 years as my resource and referral agency. I'm an author. I'm a grandmother. I have a podcast. I am an advocate for children.
Thank you, Tonya. Thank you very much. And as Tonya mentioned, she is an author of the Daycare Chronicles 101, and I know she's going to go into more detail on that later in the interview.
Yes.
But again, thank you to everyone who's watching. We appreciate your time. Before we get started, I just wanted to say that today is Giving Tuesday, and there is a global effort to raise funds for those who've been severely affected by the pandemic and by the COVID-19 crisis. The way Crystal Stairs is marking this important day is by launching a week-long tribute for childcare providers like Tonya, who continue to work and who continue to provide services to the children of emergency responders and other essential workers. So we thank you, we value, and we acknowledge you as essential workers.
Thank you.
So let's go ahead and get started.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know you well, or in the audience, Tonya, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Maybe where you grew up. Did you always want to be a child care provider?
Right.
And maybe share a fun fact that people don't know about you.
Okay. I am from Youngstown, Ohio. We migrated to California when I was about 13 years old. After the birth of my first child, I wanted to stay home. So when I became pregnant with my second child, I was like, I'm going to do this. And I just went for it. I was a bank teller before I started doing daycare. And here I am 30 years later, caring for my grandchildren now. I've been a pillar in my community, for 30 years.
Wow.
I love to garden. That's a hobby that I have taken up. And during this time of COVID-19, it's definitely a big help. Definitely a big help. And I noticed that when I go to Home Depot, everybody's gardening now. So it's very soothing, for us. And we're able, to do that, something that gives us joy. We have the time for it now.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's part of the reason we're doing this too, is we want to hear about what your experience has been as a child care provider during this time, because other people are experiencing this, but also because I think we all really need the opportunity to connect.
Yeah.
In a very authentic way. And so
absolutely.
I like that you brought up gardening, because that is something that is very therapeutic and very soothing. So so thanks for sharing about it. So let's get started. How were you when this first pandemic broke out, and how were you immediately affected by the stay-at-home order and the quarantine efforts?
Well, I will say that being a family daycare provider, we're accustomed to being at home. We're accustomed to being at home. So the being at home part wasn't too bad during the week. It was more so the weekends when we're out. That's when most providers do their shopping, trying to spend time with your family, trying to have a little bit of self-care time. So when that happened, everything stopped. Everything stopped. So the main focus was getting essential supplies that you needed. At first, that first wave was kind of like, not as, we didn't know it was as serious as what it is, because it wasn't presented that way to us. So once it got to where we realized how serious this was, I think more so the providers got it, but the frustration was getting essential supplies. Because it's still open. And we need Lysol, we need bleach, we need alcohol, we need cleaning, we need wipes. We couldn't find baby wipes. You couldn't get baby wipes. And if you could only get one pack. What is one pack gonna do? That's gonna be gone in about an hour. Gloves, you couldn't find those things. So I think the frustration kind of came from there, and then trying to figure out, how are you going to do social distancing in daycare? What is that like? So trying to figure out these things, still stay safe. We're considered essential workers, but we weren't treated that way. We couldn't go in Costco early. We couldn't go into Sam's Club early. We couldn't go into Target early to get, the essential supplies, because typically the people that were first in line were the ones that would get them, because everyone was what's the word? I don't want to say hoarding, but everyone was just impulse, just doing everything, just grabbing everything. And so by the time we would get to the store when we got off work, there was nothing there.
What would you say to them? How did you find ways around some of these problems?
You have to let your community and your friends and your family know what you need. You have to let your parents know what you need. Not one parent asked me if I needed anything. I asked them, hey, do you have a can of Lysol at home? If you see some out in the store, let me know. I can, send you the money, or I'll send my husband out to go get it, Just knowing people who work certain places, and they were like, you know what, we got you. We know you're caring for our children. So it was about speaking what you needed. If you don't say anything, no one knows, So the parents just drop their children off like, hey, here you go. Like it's a regular day. We are in the middle of a pandemic. And so every little tip that I would get from a DM on social media, from a text, my husband, he was just out like the book of Eli. He was out there, that's what he tells me. You had me out there like I was the book of Eli, out there just getting what we needed. And also, a lot of times, because as providers, we buy in bulk most times. I just found a can of Lysol in the cupboard the other day. A lot of times we have things that are there that we just don't panic about and we've just forgotten about. So it's time to declutter some things, look through some stuff, and then use what you have at home. Alcohol is okay to use to sanitize. You can use alcohol. You can use bleach. I mean, at this point, we had to do what we had to do because this is all that was out there,
So Tonya, since you mentioned that, you said that you were very resourceful in utilizing the products that you did have at home.
Yes.
Do you think that that's information that would be helpful to other providers who maybe don't know that they can?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So maybe later when you talk about how people can get a hold of you, you can.
Right. Absolutely. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I know we all want to be green, but at this point in time, we're trying to kill a virus that is killing us.
Absolutely. And we as a nation, as the world, actually globally, we're all faced with the same shortages. We're all looking for essential cleaning supplies and cannot find them. So we have to be resourceful in finding other ways to sanitize and to stay, keep hygiene. So
absolutely.
Providers will be appreciative of that information, Tonya.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Another question for you. So you talked about the hurdles and some of the challenges. Do you have any success stories that you want to highlight that have come?
Oh, absolutely. I had my husband is a school teacher, so one of his ex-students, he's an adult now, he worked at Costco. He heard that we needed wipes, Clorox wipes. He brought me a whole case.
Oh,
I mean, just he's an adult now, but just the love that he had. I mean, so you have to let people know. And then also the parents that continue to trust you to care for their children while they're able to go to work and know that you're cleaning, you're sanitizing, you're disinfecting everything, because I'm sure it's a stress on them as well to have to leave their child somewhere during this pandemic,
Definitely. How are you dealing with the children? Are they nervous? Are they frightened? Are those some of the issues you've been dealing with?
Well, the school-age children, they're more so ready to go back to school. The Zoom can only hold them for so long. They're like, I want to see my friends, trying to get them just to stay focused. Some of them have a little bit of anxiety because they really want to go to school and be there and they can't, and they don't really understand. And so it's like trying to incorporate just the love, the care, the understanding to them, not dismissing their feelings, understanding and respecting how they feel and asking them, well, what would you like for me to have here in my home for you when you come so that you will feel comfortable and we can just get through the day until mom comes. You know, you have to take their feelings into consideration.
Thanks for sharing that. That's very important for sure. So then this is the final question.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a direct line to policymakers, elected officials, politicians, what would your message to them be in regards to what you and other childcare providers are experiencing during this pandemic?
First, I would like to thank them just for the fact that we're still able to work. Even though some of the children are not coming, we're still able to get paid. You know, we understand that that is a blessing, you know, for us. But also to know that you consider us to be essential workers, but we're not treated that way. There are certain supplies, essential supplies that we need to maintain safety in our daycares. You know, we have to make sure that things are clean, sanitized. I mean, we need gloves. I mean, we use gloves anyway, you know, through changing diapers, you know, first aid, all of those things, but we need them even more now. When someone drops a package at the door, maybe you've ordered something through Amazon, you got to have gloves, Lysol, everything, you know, on you to be able just to retrieve the mail now. So it's like we needed to have the essential supplies available to us, or either have it to where we were able to go into the stores first, like they did, like for the elderly, the seniors, have it to where we could take our business license and say, look, here's my license. I'm an essential worker. I need to get in there. You know, you can't even call the stores to see if they have anything because everyone sends you straight to voicemail because of what we're dealing with. But we indefinitely, I feel like we need a raise. We need a raise. We want that extra 10, 20% too. We need a raise. The CNN did an article and they were saying how parents cannot get back to work until they have childcare. The economy will not be what it needs to be until parents have childcare to be able to. Childcare is the foundation. It's the foundation. And so without that, as a parent, you can't do anything. So I think the world realizes now how valuable we are.
Indeed.
How valuable we are.
Indeed, Tonya. And two comments I want to make. The first being that you're absolutely right that childcare providers should be given priority, like other essential workers at these large warehouses.
Yes.
It's really important, and it's actually critical to keeping operations open and being able to continue to provide service for emergency responders. So it is really critical. And number two, the fact that childcare is a critical component of the economic recovery of not the state of California, but of the nation as well. Yeah. So it is a profoundly important point. Economic recovery and childcare are very, very much related.
Yes.
And you can't have one without the other. Absolutely.
No. Well, I am on Instagram. You can follow my Instagram page, Daycare Chronicles 1-on-1. Every day I give a funny, witty, true story about daycare. I always say that licensing will give you a license. The resource and referral agencies will give you a contract. No one tells you about the day-to-day things that happen in daycare. And there are some things that happen. So I've written a book, Daycare Chronicles 1-on-1. It's available on Amazon. I also have a podcast on Apple iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify. I have really good guests on there. Guests from the regional center, social workers, doctors. It's not just me talking. It's some real informative things for daycare providers. Definitely. And also, you can go to my YouTube page, Daycare Chronicles 1-on-1 on YouTube. I have some funny skits going on there about things that happen in daycare. It's just all about networking and knowing that you're not alone. A lot of providers are like, oh my goodness, when they read the book, they're like, we have the same stories. We all have the same stories because we deal with children and their parents. So I just wanted to also say that don't forget about your neighborhood store. That little neighborhood store, I was able to go in there and get bleach. Don't forget about your little neighborhood stores because they're there for a reason, and they have essential supplies as well. The dental offices, the dental supply places, those are places to get essential supplies too. I mean, in this pandemic, we are learning and reaching and grabbing wherever we can. So don't think that you're not going to find something in this store or that store. The Petco, they have disinfecting things. I mean, I'm just saying, you have to really utilize everything that you can. I am available. You can DM me on Instagram. You can follow my Daycare Chronicles one-on-one page on Facebook. And I also have a Daycare Chronicles one-on-one group on Facebook. And I love to hear from other providers because we network and we share our stories. And it's just a wonderful thing. And I thank you for this time. I've enjoyed my time here with you. You all are just a blessing. Crystal Stairs is doing all these Zoom classes. And as providers that typically may not be able to have gotten to a class at 6 o'clock, I can be at home on my computer in Zoom and I'm there. So I thank Crystal Stairs. I applaud Crystal Stairs for being there for the providers and for fighting for us, being essential workers. I thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Tonya, and for staying open during this pandemic. Thanks for the contact information. I'm sure you'll be hearing from many of our audience members.
Yes,
thanks to those of you who are watching. We appreciate your time. We appreciate the fact that you've tuned in. And again, remember, it's Giving Tuesday for the COVID-19 pandemic. So we appreciate your donations there as well. Thank you so much, Tonya. It was great to talk to you.
Thank you.